Hello and welcome to the Creative Phoebe Cooks channel, where we grow together to become more knowledgeable and confident cooks. I am Phoebe, your host, cook, and food photographer, and thank you for tuning in. We're making some apple hand pies. Hey, if you did not watch last week's episode, I recommend you watch it because that is a preliminary step to what we'll be doing in this episode. Basically, we made our own apple sauce, but we actually baked it. It's so delicious. It doesn't get any easier than this. All you're going to need is the homemade applesauce we made last week. You may find a link for that in the description below, and a packet of frozen puff pastry. Be sure to get one that comes with 2 sheets of the same size. Now let's make some egg wash. We're going to need 1 egg for that and a splash of vanilla extract to cut down on the egginess. After whisking that, we're going to set it aside and turn on our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius. Now let's remove the parchment paper that separates the folds of the puff pastry so that we can cut the puff pastry in 4. You may use a knife or pizza cutter, whichever one you have closest to you. This way we're going to have 8 hand pies. Alright, let's start off with 1 and start assembling our pies. We're going to add a dollop of the applesauce, a little bit off center on the quarter of the puff pastry, and brush on a little bit of that egg wash on 2 sides. After folding the pies, we are going to crimp the edges using a fork to ensure that the apple filling stays in during the baking process. And let's create a couple of slits on the top of those pies to make sure that steam escapes while they're baking, or else it's going to go puff and cause one of the edges to bust open, and you do not want any of that. We're going to follow through on those steps for the remaining of the quarters and get ready for baking. Let's place all of them in baking sheets and brush the tops of those pies with the remaining of the egg wash before we put them in the oven. That will give them a really nice glaze after they're done baking. We're going to bake our pies for 20 to 23 minutes until golden brown, depending on the type of oven you're using. And while they're baking, we're going to make some icing sugar. Well, here's what to look out for in tomorrow's episode. I'm sharing this recipe for stuffed pumpkin. It's completely plant-based and full of flavor. Great to share with loved ones. Look out for that. Now we need 130 grams of confectioner sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, and 2 to 3 teaspoons of lemon juice to make our icing sugar. Now why 2 to 3 teaspoons? Because icing sugar can be a little bit finicky, so we're just going to finesse it until we get the right consistency, like this. Now after our pies have cooled, we're going to drizzle on some of this icing sugar just to add a nice extra touch on our pies. Be sure to save a couple of these for yourself before everyone gets their share, because you're going to need it first thing in the morning with a cup of tea or coffee. Let's get to it. It is a delicious treat. I bet you're going to want to make some of this for Thanksgiving. Honestly, any occasion. Christmas, it's just around the corner. Thank you for watching this episode. Really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, you will definitely enjoy watching one of these. Or both. Click to watch and cook something deliciously with confidence. See you in the next episode. That's an airplane, y'all. But we're still going to film this because life goes on. Let's do this. Okay?